So I'm underneath here with an all roader. There is a pod trailer spare tire underneath. Now it's got a chain or a safety chain that would usually be tucked up pretty high. I'm now going to loosen that off to its longest length. And what I'm expecting is that when I undo this bolt, now this is a smaller tire, so a bit easier to handle. I'm gonna then rely on the chain to take this halfway down. And I'm using my star bar here. So again, that's probably gonna be a 19 mil socket. And I'm just gonna use that and unwind this down. But I'm also just gonna make sure that I'm not right underneath it. And I've got my chain there as an added security to wind it down. I'm now undoing my chain. So here's my next trick. We're gonna see how this goes. I've got my chain here, which is through, again, 2 points holding that tire up if anything happens. I've now dropped it so it's through the center, and I've got my little chain here only through one hole in the wheel. I've taken the chain out of the 2 diamonds. I've put one part of it through the middle, and now I think that it's gonna lower back down further, and that's gonna give me enough clearance to rest it on the ground. Let's see what happens there again. So you can imagine I'm supporting this weight here. I don't want it to swing, so I think it's gonna swing a little bit further, and here comes the drop. I've got my arm supporting, so it's gonna drop away from me, and there we go. So I knew that was coming, and I was pretty happy that it's now resting on the ground. By the fact that it's resting on the ground, it just means that I don't have to lift that whole weight when I want to undo this shackle. And I'm now going to undo that shackle there and be able to then release this spare wheel while it's resting on the ground. Now again, I've got it in there pretty snug, so I'm able to wedge it just up enough to release that chain. It's resting on the ground, and I can now lower that back down. So as you can see there, we've learned to drop that chain through the center, and it has made it a little bit easier. I've got it now on my mat, which I was wiggling around on, and I can drag that out. And what I have here is I have this one set up. How it's come out is with the outside down, the external of this rim down. I can imagine if I did it the other way, I wouldn't have enough thread in my bar there. So basically I'm making sure that I've got my bigger side of the bowl facing up so that I can get this through, and using that thread that balances this tire. Let's go and try and put that back underneath. Got the chain sitting here underneath, and this supports the tire as an added security, but I'm using it to leverage it up. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna use one of my ramps here, and especially if it was a flat tire, by using that ramp, I'm just giving myself a little bit of a chance to get higher. And all of a sudden, that chain that was just long enough to come down is now quite a bit easier to put on. And especially with a flat tire, you can see that just going through the center in one of these rings is enough for me to get some extra leverage. What I'm gonna do there now is use my little T-piece here with the bolt. Now again, we had a go at this, and I realized making a triangle. And what I have is my hand with an arm, doing the triangle on one side, and my other hand is just resting it there. Again, these type off-road tires, not too bad. I can then thread this guy in. Bit of a balance. I could also use a wheel chock or a second person, but just by keeping my shoulders locked, and my elbows locked there, I was able to get that pretty good. I've got a couple of threads in there, so now I should be able to jump into here and give it a few more turns. And once I've got 10 turns on, I'm pretty confident that this is gonna go all the way up. Now that's sitting fairly center there on my T-piece. It's locked into that. That's quite a few turns, so I'm very confident that that's not gonna move. I'm gonna take my safety chain, and instead of running it through the middle, I'm just gonna run it down through another one of my diamonds. It's like a Sunraysia rim, right? Steel rim. So it's alloy. Ideally, it's gonna have a few diamonds. And the reason that I've done that is it's just, if something does pop out, I've done it up nice and snug. And this extra chain, if it does come down, won't hit the ground. It'll keep it up there and balanced. And that's it up there. Stockman pod trailer and an all roader. This is our Jimny special with the Tyre underneath. We can do the accessory of Tyre at the front of the pod as well, but just using my star bar, making sure I've got a ramp for that and having a bit of matting to lie on. And that's how you can look at changing your spare wheel the easiest way possible with SEQ Campers, Sunshine Coast.